Hey guys, today we've got to talk about something that hurts. It's official. The Speed Promotions Outlaw 32 series is cancelled. Not just postponed, not restructured, flat out cancelled. And with it, the remaining small tire race, the championship, chase and that massive $100,000 to win Galot event we were all hyped for. Gone. Now I know a lot of you, like me, saw the writing on the wall. We could all feel this coming. The car counts have been slipping, the stands haven't been as full, and when that happens, the money to keep these shows alive just isn't there. Racing at this level is brutally expensive. Tracks, safety, promotion, payouts, logistics, it all adds up. If the cars aren't showing, the fans aren't showing. And if the fans aren't showing, the sponsors and TV networks start pulling back. And once that happens, well, here we are. But let's take a step back, because I want to put this into perspective. Picture this. 3 years ago, I went to an NPK race. Big tire cars everywhere, a stacked 32-car field. And in fact, more than 40 cars entered because it was a qualifier for No Prep Kings Season 5 down in Palm Beach. The air was electric. You could feel the horsepower shake your chest when those cars launched. The smell of burnt rubber, the sight of these steel-bodied monsters running 370s down a sketchy surface, it was absolutely incredible. That's what hooked so many of us. That's what made this whole big tire no prep movement explode into the phenomenon it became. Fast forward to now, and at the last Speed Promotions event, only 12 cars. 12. That's not a field, that's a test session. And no matter how much we love this sport, a dozen cars simply can't carry a show designed for 32. Fans notice, energy drops, and financially it just doesn't make sense to keep trying. Here's another layer to the story. Remember when the TV show pulled out last year? That was a turning point. Without that production backing, without those contracts, keeping the fields filled and the spotlight shining, it became a grind for Speed Promotions to keep things alive. They tried. Credit where it's due, they fought to hold it together. But you can't put on gladiator battles without gladiators. And look, it really does suck. I don't use that word lightly. This hurts because big tire no prep racing is special. These cars aren't pro mods in disguise. They look like cars, they roar, they shake. They remind you of the muscle car roots this whole thing grew out of. And when they're dialed in, they're beautiful. Watching a 3,000 horsepower steel-bodied car hook on bare pavement, that's a sight you don't forget. So, what now? Where do we go from here? Well, there's a couple of possibilities. Some of these cars will probably make their way over to IHRA's Pro Mod deal. That series has been gaining traction, building momentum, and for racers looking for consistent events with solid car counts, that may be the best option. Others might pop up at outlaw no-prep races, pop-up shootouts, or maybe even stick closer to home tracks. The spirit of no prep won't die. It never does. It just changes, morphs, and finds new outlets. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. The $100,000 to win Galot race. That one stings. That was set up to be a killer event. Small tire, on a prepped surface, massive payout, and a huge roster of big names lined up to participate. I mean, even Justin Swanstrom had bought in. Not just once, but 3 times. 3 entries. That's how serious this event was going to be. And now? Gone. It's like someone promising you the fight of the century, and then canceling it on weigh-in day. That's how deflating this feels. But here's where I want to shift gears, because while this feels like a loss, it's also an opportunity. Racing has always been about adaptation, whether it's a driver adjusting to track conditions or a series figuring out how to keep fans engaged. Those who survive in this sport are the ones who pivot. So let's be real. Maybe this was needed. Maybe the Outlaw 32 had run its course in this form. Maybe a reset is exactly what big tire no prep racing needs. If anything, this gives promoters and racers a chance to rethink how these events are structured. Do we need smaller fields, different payout structures, a new partnership with IHRA or another sanctioning body? Maybe. And here's the thing. Racers, like Disco Dean, Murder Nova, Swanstrom, and all the others, they're not done. They live for this. Whether it's under the Speed Promotions banner or somewhere else, these guys are going to race. And when they do, the fans will follow. So what's the takeaway here? Number 1, appreciate what we had. If you ever went to one of these big tire no prep events, you know how special they were. You got to see history in the making. Number 2, don't write off the future. Just because the Outlaw 32 is done doesn't mean big tire no prep is dead. Far from it. The cars are still out there. The drivers are still hungry. All it's going to take is the right spark to light the fire again. And number 3, support the racers. Go to the races, buy the merch, watch the live feeds, comment on their updates, because at the end of the day, that's what keeps this world alive. The fans matter. You matter. Without you, there's no energy, no hype, no reason to keep pushing. So yeah, guys, today's news is tough. The Speed Promotions Outlaw 32 series is gone. The 100K Galot race is gone, and the championship's gone. But racing doesn't end here. It never does. It just shifts gears, finds a new lane, and keeps on charging forward. Another factor that we have to acknowledge is the rising cost of racing itself. These big tire no prep cars aren't cheap to build, maintain, or run. We're talking about screw-blown HEMAs, pro chargers, massive nitrous setups. Each pass down the track can cost hundreds of dollars in fuel, wear, and tear. Then you add in the cost of travel, lodging, crew expenses, and entry fees, and suddenly, a weekend race can turn into a 5-figure investment. For a racer, the math just doesn't work out if the payout isn't guaranteed, or if the competition field is too small to draw sponsors. On top of that, let's not forget the competition from No Prep Kings itself. When NPK is in town, that's where the spotlight is, that's where the crowds are, and that's where the racers want to be. Speed Promotions was fighting for attention in a market that's already saturated with racing content. For fans, it's tough to justify spending money on multiple events in a short time span. For racers, the pull of TV exposure, bigger purses, and packed grandstands is just too strong to ignore. Another piece of the puzzle is fan culture. Big Tire No Prep was built on the idea of raw, unpredictable racing. Cars that looked like real, cars battling it out on bare pavement. But over the last few years, a lot of the cars in these series started looking more like professional pro mods than street cars. Some fans loved it, but others felt the soul of the sport was slipping away. When fans start to lose that emotional connection, they stop showing up in the stands. And without fans, the whole model collapses. Let's also talk about track prep, or, in this case, the lack of it. No prep is supposed to be sketchy. It's supposed to test drivers in ways that prepped racing doesn't. But that also means crashes, oil downs, and long delays. Casual fans sometimes get frustrated when an event stretches on because of accidents or constant track maintenance. Hardcore fans understand, but for new spectators, it can be a turnoff. Over time, that can chip away at attendance. But here's the silver lining. Racing has always reinvented itself. Remember when street racing was just underground, with no cameras, no big purses, just pride on the line? Look at where it is now. NPK, Street Outlaws, invitational races. It exploded because people loved the energy and authenticity of it. Outlaw 32 may be gone, but I guarantee something else will rise in its place. That's how this sport works. And think about the racers. Guys like Disco Dean, Murder Nova, Justin Swanstrom, they're not just going to park their cars and walk away. They've put too much money, time, and heart into this. These are racers to their core, and if one door closes, they'll kick down. Another one. You can bet they'll be back in action, whether it's IHRA, NPK, or some new Outlaw series that hasn't even been announced yet. At the end of the day, the cancellation of the Speed Promotions Outlaw 32 series is a reminder that racing is fragile. It's not just about horsepower and ETs. It's about fans, sponsors, and the community that makes it all possible. If we want Big Tire No Prep to survive, we as fans have to keep showing up, keep supporting, and keep pushing for it. Because when the stands are full, when the cars are loud, and when the drivers are hungry, there's nothing on earth like it.